Now, this guy is this is something in India about this car that cost under a price of a new car. I'm thinking cheaper than the Yugo, because back then the Yugo went for about $40,000, $4,000 brand new, or today equivalent about $8,000. Which and brand new basic. Okay, now the new car you can buy in the U.S. Okay, is the Mitsubishi Mirage between the price of $14,000 to $15,000 brand new. This car costs less than that. This car costs like under $4,000 brand new. Now, there's one thing though. This car has a 0-star crash rating. Now, this car is more in a T series territory, which I don't like T series. The reason I'm watching this is because it's Jay Leno. Jay Leno likes cars. I like cars too. I'll be right back. I'm gonna check my dinner. See how my dinner's doing real quick. Then I'll be right back. It's PC. I still got 8 minutes left. Pizza's not done yet. I'm gonna watch this and see how this goes. Then have some pizza and do some yakking if I want to. I don't care. It's Sunday night. I want to do something to stay doing nothing. I know. Saying, what about CA? What about CA? What about CA? We are gonna do some more CA eventually. Right now, no. I'm not gonna do any more CA for a while. We might do some more CA tomorrow. And also, if we do some CA tomorrow, we're gonna be doing it differently. I moved the desk around because I was getting tired of having it where it was. Because trying to upload videos with the sun in your eyes is kind of hard to do. Sunshine right there in my face. Over here, it still shines up like this. But since I have this stuff here, it kind of shields my face a little bit, so I don't have much sunlight in my eyes. And that's about all I can say. So yeah, I'm gonna watch a little bit of this. In about 8 minutes, my pizza should be done. And then we can start. Like I said, CA. So you guys can talk. It's Sunday, so you guys can talk to me or something. I thought live at 5 would be a good idea. I know the news does it like this, but technically it's Sunday, so the news wouldn't be on. News won't be on until like 4. I mean, until 6.
Tata Nano. This is a Nano, it's not Jay's, and it's revolutionizing transportation in India. At around about $2,000, it means guys like
$2,000
may one day be the drivers of the future here.
Now, back then you had a chance to get a bicycle or motorcycle or a car.
Two motorbikes to the left, trucks to the right.
And Tata owns Jaguar and Land Rover, which is an Indian company. But the thing is though, Tata Motors, okay. At the time, Land Rover was owned by Ford and Jaguar owned by Ford, okay. According to what I found out, they're still owned by Ford, still technically. Tata takes a look at making the car, okay, but Ford actually helps them out by They don't have a good distributing network, so Ford distributes the cars for them, to my knowledge. Ford still owns a piece of Jaguar and Land Rover. They also own Aston Martin and a few other car companies they also own. But according to what I heard, Ford still owns a piece of Jaguar. They actually own part of Tata Motors. To my knowledge, they ship it for them. They ship Jaguar and Land Rover for them because Tata doesn't have the time, doesn't have the technology, doesn't know how to do that or something like that. Not sure who do those guys, but that's what I heard. Now back to watching this because I can't believe that's one of the worst cars ever built. It's a 0-star crash rating. But still, under $2,000.
Well, this is the home of the Nano, just outside of Meadowbank. And inside, I'm assured, they're already starting to build Jay's new car.
Tata Motors. Everything's in English. Everything's in Indian language and English. So let's see here.
In record time of 14 months. The first car rolled out in February 2010.
Wow.
The biggest challenge was that we have loads of people traveling on two-wheelers, families of 4 people with 2 kids and parents, which is very uncomfortable and obviously not safe from the elements. The Nano presents the best option to begin with for a person graduating from a two-wheeler to a car. The engine layout is what drives the shape of the car. Because the engine is right at the rear, it empties up all the space for people to sit in and maximize the space in the car for the same size on the exterior.
So it's like a Volkswagen.
Very, very easy to drive.
It's your engine.
Easy to maneuver in the streets of cities in India. That's why it looks like a big bubble. The tallness of the car actually enhances the interior space, but keeps the footprint very, very compact.
Looks like they're smaller than a Ford
It's
Fiesta.
actually been a great ambassador for India. It's focused a lot of international attention on us. It's showed the world that we are capable of designing and making a very unique, cheap car, the cheapest car in the world, in fact.
Back in the day, Yugo was the cheapest car you can get for about 4,000 bucks.
Take 400 workers 5 hours to finish off the car.
5 hours to build a car. Wow. Take a Ford Mustang, what? About 10 hours? Or longer? Now, it takes what? Like I said, it takes 4 hours. It takes like 5 hours to build a car. Okay. That's pretty neat, though, but there's one thing here, though. They don't let us stuff the car. Ford, come on. Ford, America, come on. We build cars. We build thousands and thousands of cars a day, but 5 hours to build one car, that's not bad. If you think of it, cars have been around for a few years now, like 10 years now, that's not bad. But still, if I was going to buy a car, I buy American or buy what my mom owns. So mom's car's a little too big for me. I would not want a big car like hers. She owns a car from a different part of the world. I can't say where. Because right now, they're kind of at our throats right now. Not the Democratic part, the other part. But I wouldn't mind having one, actually. I mean, there's a car. I wouldn't mind having a Japanese car, actually. There's a Subaru truck or something I saw the other day. According to what I found out, I can actually drive one of those trucks with no problem. You only need a four-wheeler license to drive one of some of these trucks they have. I mean, I found out that there's a truck I can buy right now and legally drive it on the roads. All I need is a four-wheeler license to drive it. Because it's legally known as a four-wheeler, which I'm thinking, okay, that's very interesting. But who knows? There's only a handful of places in the world that sell them here in the U.S. Well, there's actually the road sells them. Or the hospital.
The end of the production line.
3 nuts on one wheel.
Give it that little extra Indian spice. The guys are putting a go faster stripe up it. In the colours of the Indian flag.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. J. This car is going to Hollywood from Bollywood. I hope you like this design.
Bollywood to Hollywood. That's pretty cool. Bollywood's like,
Well, before Jay's car hits the road for the first time.
but Bollywood's a pretty big fancy place in India. I mean, Bollywood's like the Hollywood of the USA.
We're having the Hindu tradition of puja, literally giving thanks to the gods, asking for their protection for the new owner and any occupants.
I've been a little nervous driving. The car has a zero crash rating, so it's not safe for anyone to drive.
Not to have a quick play in the car before it jumps on the truck and then onto a plane all the way to LA.
I mean, that car weighs as much as a smart car weighs, so that's not bad. I'll be back in a second. I'll be back in 1 second. That's pretty weird. Jay Leno got some of the worst cars in the world. Jay Leno. You know what kind of
Worst cars?
the worst car in the world? You know what? Oh,
That's the worst car.
you know what?
Let me go get me my car.
You know what car? This other day, that guy is driving that little bitty gray hunter junk looking thingy, a little gray thingy. That Indian car, right? They only got one. Where's the pizza at? I don't see a pizza now. Oh, there it is. Go. Ow, my foot. Got it. Yeah. They little got a Tata Nano. We went out. You know those are the now? 2. And here's one of 2. There you go. I mean, I'll let you cut that for you. Pizza's almost done, guys. I have to wait for it to get cut so I can eat it. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna try doing an all-nighter
You're gonna do all nighter?
again. It didn't work out last time, Tyler. I know this time won't work. You all right?
Yeah, I touched my finger.
That's why there's a thing called hey, that's not appropriate.
Cool down. Here's your slicer.
You don't want it? Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, it's all greasy. I fall apart. Who knows? We may do start the training again.
What makes this the most affordable car in the world? Well, they save money wherever they can. Notice only 3 lug nuts per wheel instead of 4. You're making hundreds of thousands something each lug nut. It's a big saving. Let's open the hood. Now there's no engine in there. But you got your spare tire and your wheel, all your fluids. The engine is in the back. Obviously, I wouldn't call that a huge trunk. Unless you have like a Lamborghini supercar, that would be a huge trunk. But there's really not much trunk. There's a lot of room inside. Seats 4. Now to get to the engine, it looks like the hatch opens here, but it doesn't. You have to remove the seat.
Hatch does not open.
Down,
All of them
open
do.
the panel. See the engine, which is about this big. You could, in fact, if your engine breaks down, you can take it out, put it under your arm, and then bring it down to the mechanic. Could you fix this one? So that's what makes it an affordable car. There's a lot of clever thinking has gone into this car. And when you compare it to what people in India normally would drive, like a motor scooter with 3 or 4 people on it, which is very dangerous, obviously, it's a safe, fun alternative. Here's an interesting fact for you. This car is half the price of this suit. This beautiful suit was designed by a fantastic designer named Manan Gangwani. He did a great job. He made some other clothes for me, but I think it's quite good. My wife loves this suit. It's fantastic. It's an impressive automobile for the price. Now, before we take it for a ride, the big question is, how many dancers can you fit inside a Nano? The answer is all of them.
Can't drive that though.
Well, I must say, you get a commanding view of the road. How fast we going? About 75, which is pretty good considering top speed of this car is only 63. Okay, we cheat a little bit, but this thing is not legal for U.S. roads. There's no airbag, there's no crash bar in the door, so we're gonna take it to a test track and see how it goes. All right, before we take the Nano out on the LAPD test track, Officer Correa here is gonna show me how it's done. So let's give it a shot. I don't think the Nano's gonna do that. Well, here I am finally driving the Tata Nano. And,
Back in a minute. Sorry. You know that. Maybe we'll deal with those later, guys. Maybe we'll do all nighter. Who knows? Maybe we'll do an all nighter. Maybe
You know, it's a lot of fun. I mean,
they might.
a car that's fun to put a smile on your face, and I'm smiling. Well, initial impression of the car, a very light car, very easy car to steer, very go-kart-like. Not an abundance of power, obviously. Every time I go into a corner and it kind of leans and I hear the tire, squeal a little bit, it makes me smile, like this. And the air conditioner is better than the air conditioner in my F1 McLaren. I have an F1 McLaren, and I had my air conditioning upgraded, and it's not as good as this. So, no, you might not be faster than the F1. You might not handle as good or brake as good. When it comes to air conditioning,
What time is sunset?
you guys got it deep. So thank you very
What
much.
time is sunset?
I'm going to take the air conditioner out of the Nano and put it in my F1 McLaren. That's what I'm going to do.
So who knows? Maybe 9 o'clock today or something, or later on today we'll do an all nighter. Who knows?
And they have those half elliptical, some have full elliptical springs.
We'll do
You
an
get
all
that
nighter.
kind of bouncy ride like this has. That's what it's meant to do. It's not
We'll
meant
do
to
an all
be
nighter
like-
tonight. We'll do an all nighter tonight, guys.
It's meant to smooth
But later on tonight we'll do an all nighter. Maybe around 8, 9.
Like that. So it does a very good job. It's a comfortable car. The seats recline. There's plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom. Impressive. Well, here are the facts: 2-cylinder, about 38 horsepower, 624 cc, something like that. Top speed about 63 miles an hour, maybe 65 going downhill, maybe 58 going uphill, something like that. But that's okay. I mean, it's a great city car. It's no different than all those little electric cars you see running around. And it's $2,700. It's amazing. I think future Nanos you'll see will be more and more high tech. This is meant to be a simple, basic car for a lot of people who've never driven a car before or owned an automobile. And that's what's happening here. But I think the future looks very bright. Remember, these people build Jaguars, they build Land Rovers, and they build this car. And I think you'll see these cars evolve very, very quickly. In fact, this is going to be a classic someday. Cops are here. Party's over.
Let me get this straight. You want a new car, but you only have $3,000. Okay, how about one of these?
Aging wheels.
This tiny pretty-looking car from India
There you
is the Tata Nano, and it is quite simply one of the cheapest new production cars to ever exist. Tata produced the Nano from 2008 to 2018. It's rear engine and rear-wheel drive, and that engine is a 2-cylinder, 624cc liquid-cooled engine, making about 37 horsepower, which is actually fairly good for a car this size. It has a 4-speed manual transmission, and later Nanos were even offered with a semi-automatic transmission. Would you like to see that engine? Because it's right in here. Yeah, this is where the extreme attention to cost cutting starts to become apparent, because even though this looks like a hatch, it is not. It is a fixed body panel. Later Nanos did have a hatch here, but this one does not have that. To access the engine, you have to pull the back seat forward like so. And then the engine is under this little hatch. And of course, the attention to cost cutting doesn't stop at the lack of a hatch. It goes much further than that. The car is made out of very thin sheet steel because that was cheaper. The doors are very light because they're very thin, and they have no detents on them. They just float around, much like a Trabant. The wheels only have 3 lug nuts because that saved 4 lug nuts per car, which was slightly cheaper. There is no wing mirror on this side, only on the driver's side. This is a right-hand drive car, by the way. There is only 1 windshield wiper where 2 would have been slightly better. And there is no external fuel filler. You have to access the fuel by opening the hood. It's right over there. But it goes even further than that. Base models of this car not only didn't have air conditioning, they didn't have heat or any ventilation through the climate control whatsoever. The only ventilation you got was from rolling down the windows and hoping for the best. They also had unassisted steering and unassisted brakes. When you look at how extreme the cost cutting was in this car, it becomes amazing that they did things like this. Make custom headlights just for this car. They're not parts from some other car. They made it just for the Nano. Same goes for the taillights. It's a custom piece. I mean, the whole rest of the car body is made for the Nano because it is the Nano, but it amazes me that they didn't use an off-the-shelf part for this stuff. But here's what really blew my mind. I keep mentioning the base level Nano, but the one I'm sitting in isn't the base model. It's the LX trim Nano, or the deluxe version. So despite having no detents in the doors and no hatch in the back to save money, this specific one has power windows, power and central locking, and here's the real kicker, air conditioning. This car, according to the museum staff, it cost about $3,200 when it was new, has air conditioning. I would have never expected that. As you can quite clearly see, the Nano has 4 doors, and you would be surprised how much legroom there is in here. I have no trouble sitting in this back seat, and I sat in the front seat to make sure that it was in my position. There's a lot of space back here. It's almost more spacious than my Fiesta, which is mind-blowing. Now, of course, one of the reasons it is so spacious in here, aside from the engine being in the back, is because there's not much in the way of crash structures, as you might imagine. The way this car performs in a crash is, have you ever stepped on an empty soda can? If you're looking for actual numbers, this car got a 0-star crash safety rating. But that's not really that surprising. This is, after all, a very cheap car, and it certainly is better than your family of 4 riding on the back of a motorcycle. In the middle, we have the gauge cluster, which consists entirely of the speedometer and the fuel gauge, also the odometer and some idiot lights. We have the climate vents just below that, and just below that, the optional climate control, which unbelievably includes air conditioning. In front of the passenger is basically nothing. It's just a dip in the dash and a vent. As you might expect, this car has no glove box and no airbags. Oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever. In the back seat, you have the back seat. You can roll down your windows via crank, and you can open the doors, and you can lock the doors. But there's nothing else back there. Let's go for a short spin now, shall we? Now, unfortunately, I can't take this anywhere outside of the parking lot because this one has a coolant leak and therefore overheats. Or maybe that's just what they told me. I don't know. Let's go. Get the handbrake off. Typical stuff, except I'm on the right-hand side of the car. Hey. I mean, it's actually kind of normal car-esque. Very, very small. Normal car feeling. Surprisingly refined feeling 2-cylinder. Shifting with the wrong hand. This car only weighs about 1,400 pounds, and it has 12-inch wheels, or maybe they're 10-inch wheels. 12-inch wheels, I think. So everything about it is very diminutive. It tops out at about 65 miles per hour. It actually feels quite sprightly at these low speeds here. I won't know anything until I get to higher speeds, which I will never be able to do. But I wish I could take it on a longer drive, but what can you do? This is the only one in the country, I'd have to imagine, and I will not be able to import one for 25 years, so this will do. It's surprisingly quiet. There is minimal sound deadening because cost, but it's pretty quiet in here. I think this has power steering. I'm not sure. I know they had power steering.
Alam niyo na ba kung sino ang hari ng... Teka lang. Di muna natin tatalakayin kung sino ang mga hari. Dahil ngayon, pag-uusapan muna natin ang parating ngayong motorsiklo na 4 ang gulong galing India. A 4-wheeler.
I'll speak English. I'll speak Gibberish.
I'm 53, but in my mind, I'm still 35. That's why I take Osteo Biflex to keep me moving the way I was made to. It nourishes and strengthens my joints for the long term. Osteo Biflex plus vitamin D for immune support.
Welcome to another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. This is an interesting vehicle we found at SEMA. You know, As you know, SEMA is the big show in Vegas every year where all the manufacturers display their wares. They usually go, a concept car or some kind of custom vehicle. But every now and then, a private individual, because their car is unique, gets to be part of the SEMA experience, which is what this car was. We saw it sitting there. It was built by a young man named Dominic Lee, not selling anything, although he has a company. But I mean, this wasn't a showcase for his product. I think just as I was impressed, I think the officials at SEMA were impressed, and they put it on the floor, and it got all kind of attention. So let's meet the builder, Dominic. Come on in here, Dominic Lee. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, Jay?
Hey, that's pretty cool that you get a private vehicle on the floor at SEMA. How did that come about? Did you have to pull on the strings? How did that happen?
There was a couple of strings. It was my first car at the show, so I made a few phone calls with a couple of good friends, and we got the car to display outside of SEMA during the cross pass, and here she is.
Well, now, is there like a crew that comes out and goes, okay, yeah, this does it, right?
Well, we entered the car in Battle of the Builders, and
Okay.
It was a showcase of, I guess, some of the best builders in the nation.
Right,
From
right.
the Ringling Brothers to Chips.
Sure.
And we thought it was a car that could stand on its own, hopefully, and it was something unique that we wanted to showcase to everyone.
Now, it looks like a mid-70s Datsun, but obviously heavily modified. So what did we start off with?
The car originally a 1974 Datsun 1200 truck from Japan.
Okay.
It was an overseas model. It was never offered in the United States.
Now, why was this never offered I know it's obviously right-hand drive,
Yeah.
but this body style was never offered here?
No, it was not. It was a unibody, and I think during that time, there was a lot of pickup trucks, and I think the car wasn't strong enough to carry a lot of the loads.
Right.
So it was, if you look at it as a unibody, so basically it's a car.
Right.
So,
Just with a truck body.
yes.
Almost like an El Camino would be. That
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, okay. And what was the engine? What was it, 1200 originally?
It was a 1200 motor, putting out about maybe 70 to 80 horsepower. So you can see why it wasn't really a practical truck.
Right. So now you've done what?
Well, we have beefed it up. Not only just the look of it, we wanted to make sure that the bike is as good as a Spark. So the motor currently has a SR20 DAT from an S14 Nissan Silvia.
How many liters is that?
It's a 2.0 liter, but it is stroked out to 2.2.
2.2. Okay,
Yes.
very good. And obviously rear-wheel drive.
Yes.
Okay, 5-speed, 4-speed.
5-speed.
Okay.
Custom, pretty much everything in the front, as you can see. We had to. There's a very tight space, so we made sure that we got enough room to make sure all
And
the components work.
which transmission do you use?
This is the 5-speed that came with the SR.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. And obviously, now what have you done? The front end looks different. I'm not sure if it looks different because I don't think I've ever seen one. I mean, I've seen these in Australia and in Japan in pictures. This is the first one I could have seen in person. Obviously, this hood is heavily modified.
Yes, sir.
And the whole front end is, isn't it?
Yes, the whole front end is actually from a 71 and 72 Skyline. Nissan
okay.
GTR.
Okay.
But of course, it's actually.
Now, where do you get one of those? I mean, some of the guys going, you book up a Skyline.
Yes, we get that a lot. So why did you chop up a Skyline?
Yeah.
And from the pure standpoint, I did not cut up a Skyline. We actually, a Skyline front end would not fit directly onto this.
Right.
So everything has to be custom made.
Okay.
So everything was shrunken a little bit more, fitted well, and just to make sure that it flows well with the car.
Mhm.
We didn't want it just look like it's a chopped and hat kind of job.
This is one of my favorite things. This is a uniquely Japanese thing to have these mirrors all the way in the front
Yes.
fender. My Cosmo had them, and my Lamborghini Miura when I first got it had the mirrors way up here.
Yes.
The great thing is they look cool. The bad thing is you can't adjust the mirror while you
Yes.
have to get out, press it, go back, sit down, get out, press it again.
Yeah.
But I think it looks really cool, and that is really a 70s Japanese thing, isn't it?
Yes, and the neat feature is that in Japan, the spaces are very tight.
Right.
So the whole point of this mirror is that someone were to walk by, they don't just clip your mirror. It actually folds in too. If you look, it just kind of tilts in directly a little bit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's the unique part of the fender mirror.
So you're saying Japan is so crowded?
Yes.
Yeah. Just mowing down pedestrians.
Yes.
Obviously, it's been lowered, what, 6 inches?
A little bit more. We're looking at about 8 inches right now as
Okay.
as this car sit. We raised it up slightly a little bit to make the drivability a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
But of course, it's custom suspension complete in the front.
Now, the hood, this is not the Skyline hood, right?
It is not. No,
Okay.
we bend it out a little bit just so that we can breathe some air into the
Okay,
car.
so this is you. This is
Yes,
and plus the louvers as well.
exactly.
Wonderful job on the louvers.